The New York Knicks' season has come to an end in the first round of the 2021 NBA playoffs after losing to the 5th seeded Atlanta Hawks in 5 games. It was a disappointing end to the season for the Knicks, but if you look at the whole picture, it's been an incredible season for them. The Knicks, as all Knicks fans have heard many times this season, they've made the playoffs for the first time since the 2013 season. They've been pretty irrelevant and embarrassing those years in between 2013 and 2021. And in Tom Thibodeau's first season as a Knicks head coach, to get the 4th seed and with people like Julius Randle, become a most improved player, it's a big step in the right direction for the Knicks and a great season for them all in all. So in this video, we're going to look back in their season, look at the main contributors to the great season, and look back, reflect on the New York Knicks' 2020-21 season. So the first person we got to talk about is Tom Thibodeau. Thibodeau got the Knicks to be one of the best defensive teams in the league, as we all know. That's Tibbs' speciality. The Knicks finished 3rd in defensive rating in the NBA, which is unbelievable, only behind I think the Lakers and the Sixers in defensive rating. He got the very best out of Julius Randle, who up until now has been very consistent in his career, and he also got the best version out of D Rose since D Rose's Chicago Bulls days. He was unbelievable, Derrick Rose, for them, especially in the playoffs. So we got the best out of Julius Randle and D Rose, and they were the two main parts in Thibodeau's teams. But their offense, it was pretty reliant on Julius Randle, but in the regular season that didn't matter because Randle played unbelievable. But it did stagger whenever Julius Randle wasn't playing in the regular season, and we saw more of that in the playoffs. So the offense was a bit of a problem, but defensively everyone was working unbelievably hard, and offensively it was mainly up to Julius Randle and D Rose to get something going for them. At the very least though, Thibodeau got this team to go out every night and compete for the Knicks franchise, which is all Knicks fans have ever wanted after years of pain and poor teams, poor head coaches. That's all Knicks fans wanted at the end of the day going into the 2020-21 season. Tibbs was voted as Coach of the Year, and with plenty of cap space this off-season, it'll be interesting to see what Tom Thibodeau can do with the Knicks next season. Will they get another co-star to go with Julius Randle? Will they even get 2? Because they got the money, and they might even have a big 3. They could get 2 co-stars in with Randle, and that'd be very interesting to see what Tom Thibodeau could do if that happened. Probably only one big name would come in this off-season. I don't know. We'll look at the next off-season plan in a future video maybe. But it'd be interesting to see what Tom Thibodeau can do next season now. Expectations will be a bit higher. So, onto the players. Julius Randle, as we said, he's been their main player for the Knicks, especially in their regular season. He was unbelievable. So, Randle, as I said, had an excellent regular season, winning Most Improved Player. His all-round game went up. His 3-point shooting shot up from 27% in the 19-20 season to 41% in the 2020-21 season, regular season. His playmaking also improved, where he averaged a career-high 6 assists per game. He also averaged a double-double, while playing 71 out of the 72 games this season. So after that leg break in his rookie season, he's become very durable, playing 71 out of 72, as I said. Better playmaking, obviously very good in the boards, getting 10 plus boards a game, and scoring as well, that went up as well this season. And of course the 3-point shooting was the main part of his improvement, 27% to 41, an unbelievable jump in 3-point shooting this season. But in the playoffs, Randle did struggle against the Atlanta Hawks, pretty much stinking out that first round for the Knicks, and he showed that he's clearly not a number 1 option on a championship team, which is okay. Not everyone's a number 1 guy, and question marks are still there to be asked. Is he really good enough to be a number 2 guy on a championship team? People definitely acknowledge that he'd be an elite number 3 option on a contender team. I think he could maybe still do a job as a number 2 option, but this playoffs did not help his case to be a number 1 guy anyway, for sure. Randle, who became a first-time All-Star this season, is up for a contract extension this off-season, and with Randle becoming a free agent in the 2022 off-season, the Knicks should definitely try and re-sign Randle if he's willing to take, around the $26 million mark. But then again, Randle could wait another year until the 2022 free agency window kicks in, and maybe he might find a team stupid enough, you could say, to pay him up to $40 million a year. I don't think there will be a team out there that can do it. Usually the Knicks would do something like that, but the Knicks seem like a new team right now, and Randle's on the Knicks. So maybe you could get him on like a $26 million a year deal for 4+ years. We'll see what he takes. Will he? As I said, the question is, does he even want to stay on? He might want to go into unrestricted free agency and pick wherever he wants to go, so I have to wait and see. But as I said, Randle, he did have a stinker in the playoffs. There's no way around that. He really just, as I said, stung out the playoffs versus the Hawks in the first round. So the Knicks should be wary of that that, in Randle's first playoff series, he failed to, he flattered to deceive. That's the saying anyway. So he, played really poor, and that's what I'm trying to say here. In the regular season, though, Randle, he averaged 24.1 points per game, a career high, 10.2 rebounds a game, 6 assists per game, another career high, 41% shooting from 3 on 5.5 trees, as I said, another career high, and shooting 45% from the field with 3.4 turnovers. Jeez, 30 turnovers a game. He'd be hated in New York. So 3.4 turnovers a game in the regular season. Now you compare that to the playoffs then. His scoring went down from 24.1 points per game to 18 points per game. His boards went up to 11.6 rebounds to 10.2. His 3-point shooting, this one was really disappointing to see from an outsider looking in. His 3-point shooting went down from 33% in the playoffs when he was shooting 41% from 3 in the regular season. So that was disappointing to see. He also shot a really poor 29% from the field compared to 45% in the regular season. And he also had 4.6 turnovers and only 4 assists per game, so more turnovers than assists. So a big step back he took in the playoffs. As I said, this was Randle's first ever playoff series, but he did stink it out as after the Knicks. Kind of shot the bed really. Played really poor. Wasn't their number one guy anymore in the offense. D Rose took over that responsibility. He got exposed. He was way too reliant on his left side. Always driving down his left side, no right side. He became too predictable when he was driving to the rim, and as I said, the 3-point shooting is disappointing to see. That went way down, and even shooting from the field went down to 29%. And then the more turnovers and assists, really poor playoffs for Julius Randle, and that's why people are going to keep asking the question: has Julius Randle really improved that much? We all know he's definitely not number one guy, and that's why people are asking: is he even a number 2 guy in a championship team? But anyway, all in all, look at the season as a whole. A great season for Julius Randle, becoming the first-time All-Star. But how much will the Knicks pay him if they are going to give him an extension this off-season? So we'll wait and see about that this off-season. Another player, as I mentioned, D Rose, had a great season with the Knicks this year. And I made a video back in February when the Knicks acquired D Rose from Detroit. It was called, Does D Rose make the Knicks a playoff team? And it turns out the answer was a definite yes. D Rose was exceptional for the Knicks. He started off coming off from the bench during the regular season. But then in the playoffs he was playing so well that he came into the starting lineup for the Knicks and became their best player in the playoffs, making that Atlanta Hawks series competitive in the games. That they lost, as I said, lost in 5, but he made them competitive in games. D Rose is also a free agent this off-season, and there'll be plenty of teams interested in him for sure after boosting up his stock after this season in New York. So it'll be interesting to see, will the Knicks go ahead and re-sign him, and how much is D Rose worth as well? That's another question. So let's look at D Rose in the regular season compared to the playoffs. In the regular season, D Rose, he averaged 14.9 points per game, 4.2 assists per game, on 41% shooting from 3 on 2.6 trees a game. So a career high for him in 3-point shooting. But then again, not a lot of trees taken. Also shooting 48% from the field. Then in the playoffs, his scoring went up to 19.4 points per game. Assists went up to 5 assists per game. 3-point shooting went up to 47% shooting from 3 on 3.4 trees a game. So taking a few more trees and hitting them at a very good percentage, and also shooting 50% from the field and playing 35 minutes per game. So D Rose did the opposite to Julius Randle in the playoffs. He stepped up, showing, obviously he's not an MVP caliber player anymore, but showing why he was an MVP player before, improving in the playoffs. That's what the best players do in the league. And Julius Randle hurt his stock in the playoffs. D Rose definitely did his stock no harm in how he played, keeping the Knicks competitive. Games 1 and 2 were competitive in New York. I think it was game 3 that they got blown out. They were terrible in that one, or game 4 in Atlanta. They stunk it out in Atlanta, playing very poor there, and the damage is done after playing bad in Atlanta, and they lost, as I said, in game 5 at home. And the last player I want to talk about is RJ Barrett to finish off the Knicks B-Tech Big 3. RJ, he had an improved season from his rookie one. This year he averaged 17.6 points per game, 3 assists per game, 5.8 rebounds a game, on 40% shooting from 3 and 4.3 trees a game. So his shooting's improved. That's what he needs to improve on. He's done well there in the regular season, and he played all 72 games as well this year. So it's a good sign as a young player, showing that you're durable, not getting injured. So that's a good sign. Points have gone up. So yeah, but then like Randle, he did disappoint in the playoffs, and also like Randle, he did expose that he's very left-sided. Like Randle, no right side on him. He's as I said, like Randle, he got exposed a bit that he's too one-dimensional on his left side. And as I said, all his stats pretty much dropped in the playoffs as well. He only averaged 14.4 points per game, 3 assists per game, on 28% shooting from 3. So you know, the 40% shooting from 3 in the regular season dropped to 28. That's not a good sign either. It's a lot like Randle, or Gilbert reminds me of, you know, not stepping up in the playoffs. But the hope for him is it's only his second season in the NBA. He's still young. He's still got time to improve. You know, improving that 3-point shooting. You become more than one. You know, don't be one dimensional. Constantly shoot on your left side. You know, he can improve. He's young, so you know I wouldn't give up on him just yet. And if he's not for you, he's a good trade piece if you want to trade for a start. You know, so wait and see how RJ Barrett develops over the future years. But I think there's some promise there with him. So overall, the Knicks had a great season, as I said at the very start. Getting the 4th seed and winning 41 games, you know, is a real step in the right direction for the Knicks, and they've laid foundations for future years to maybe, you know, to contend in future years. You know, they got plenty of cap space, as I said, this off season, and with this revival this season for the Knicks, you know, they're now New York's always gonna be a trade destination. I mean, a free agent destination. But now that the Knicks are relevant again, you know, maybe a few good superstars might come on down to New York to play the Knicks and you know, make them title contenders once again. So anyway, guys, that's the video. Tell me, what Knicks fans especially, what did you think of this season? You know, do you let the Atlanta Hawks series, you know, just cloud your judgment and say, you know, it's not a great season, or do you look at the whole picture and say, all in all, unbelievable season, step in the right direction, all that jazz, and next year, come back next year even better, you know? So wait and see how they do next year. But anyway, guys, that's the video. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like the video, subscribe if you're new, and turn on notifications, stay notified when we upload. And with all that said, I'm out of here.